a service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC News and Jib Jab Greetings. I'm Bud Lowell. Your full AccuWeather forecast is always on top of your CNC local news pages. Speaking of the forecast, the National Weather Service says we can expect soaking rains, maybe an inch or more across the upstate New York region, and that's because of low pressure lifting out of the upper Ohio Valley. Slightly higher amounts possible in the Finger Lakes and the southern tier, and some of this rain will be heavy at times. But given the very dry conditions we experienced over the summer, there's not expected to be any flooding on creeks and rivers. This rainfall, says the Weather Service, will be largely beneficial and unlikely to cause problems. The possibility of hazardous weather, severe thunderstorms, and that sort of thing is actually pretty low. The Monroe County Sheriff's Department says a 71-year-old Penfield woman was killed just before noon Monday when she was hit by a garbage truck while picking up her mail. The sheriff's office identified the victim as Ann Reddington of Shadow Pines Drive, a neighborhood next to the Shadow Pines golf course. Deputies say the victim was checking her mailbox at the curb when a suburban disposal truck struck her as it was backing up. The driver was questioned, but no charges or tickets were issued as of this writing. Suburban Disposal said the driver was following procedure, blew his horn before he backed up, and they say the truck's beeper, which sounds automatically when the truck backs up, was working. Rochester police who heard gunshots early Tuesday morning found the body of an 18-year-old who had been shot to death on Flower Street. That 2-block-long street runs off North Clinton Avenue on the northeast side, just south of Clifford. Responding officers found the young man on the sidewalk in front of 58 Flower Street. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Identification was not released, pending notification of his family. And there was a police chase from Greece to Irondequoit on Monday. 2 men suspected of shoplifting from the Kmart store on West Ridge Road in Greece were arrested after crashing their car during that chase. Store employees called Greece police to report the suspects, 2 men in their 30s, were trying to steal a shopping cart load of electronics. They took off in a white Chevrolet. A car matching that description was spotted at West Ridge and Long Pond Roads. A Greece police officer pulled the car over at Ridge and Stone. As he approached, the car sped off. Police took off in pursuit, chased the car to Irondequoit. They lost sight of it on the Route 104 expressway. Then moments later, they found it wrecked on the Hudson Avenue exit ramp. The driver had rolled and crashed into a utility pole. One of the suspects was arrested at the scene. The other ran, but was chased down and arrested. And both were taken to Strong Memorial Hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injuries. This week marks the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, President Lincoln's order declaring an end to slavery in America. The first draft of that document in Lincoln's own handwriting will be coming to Rochester this fall. The New York State Museum is unveiling a traveling exhibition marking the sesquicentennial of the Emancipation Proclamation. It opens next week in New York City, and it will travel to 6 cities around the Empire State. It goes on display at the Rochester Museum and Science Center on October 27th and 28th. This is the only surviving example of the proclamation in Lincoln's handwriting. The handwritten final draft was destroyed in the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. President Lincoln donated this first draft to the U.S. Sanitary Commission. That was a private relief agency that raised funds to care for sick and wounded soldiers during the Civil War. The commission auctioned it off at an Army Relief Association fair in Albany right after the war. It was purchased there by the New York State Legislature. It survived the state capitol fire in 1911 and has been preserved since then in the New York State Library. Also in the exhibition will be the speech Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave 50 years ago to mark the centennial of the proclamation. Those 2 documents will be on display side by side. And 2 months ago, a Buffalo area man was one of more than 3,100 people waiting for heart transplants in the United States. Today, Rich Shepler is back home in North Tonawanda recovering after a transplant at the University of Rochester Medical Center. The 30-year-old Erie County man received the transplant July 27th at Strong Memorial Hospital. The URMC is the only upstate heart transplant center. To the left of this player window, you can find links to these and other stories, and at the bottom of the page are links for you to use. You can directly post us your stories that you've written, ideas, things that you'd like us to check out. business openings, wedding announcements, any of that sort of thing. We want to know about it because if it's of news to you, it's news to us. So next news is as it happens. Updates are when necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.